Hi guys, today I'm going to be talking about how I reached out to professors for trial lessons and when I think is an ideal time. For me personally, I started reaching out for trial lessons and having trial lessons really later on in the college application process. There were a few positives and a few negatives to that. A few of the negative sides were that I started reaching out to professors for trial lessons all throughout January and through the first half of February. That's generally when second round, final round auditions happen. And that was a con because not a day would go by where I wouldn't have something related to college apps. And sometimes it would even overlap. I would have a webinar and an audition on the same day, or I would have a trial lesson and an audition on the same day. And since I was still taking lessons throughout the process, like chamber lessons, orchestra, and also my personal lessons, that would also really pile up and make my schedule super hard to manage. Another con about this is that you don't really get insight to professors before you apply to the college, and you only get insight after you apply, so you won't really know if that professor is a good match, if you know what I mean, before you choose to apply. Because once you have a trial lesson really late and then you realize you don't really click with that professor, you can't really do anything about it because you've already applied. Not that I thought any professors were bad and horrible or anything, but there's a positive side too, and that's that each individual professor has their own specific taste, and they have specific things about you that they point out and that they want you to change, either musically, technically, etc. For me, I had lessons mostly on the Beethoven, and each professor had something different to say musically. So because I had those trial lessons really late and often a few days before my actual final audition itself, I was able to really deeply look into those sections that they wanted me to improve on, and I would have those points improved on at my audition site. I think that's really beneficial, since if you had your trial lessons super beforehand, then it gets muddled up in all the trial lessons that you had, So yeah, I think that I did reach out a little bit too late, even though it was super beneficial for me in the process. I think an ideal time to start having trial lessons is maybe the summer before senior year. Even if you don't have any summer of senior year, that's totally fine. I think it's super beneficial to have them before January or February. Even October, November is a nice time to have trial lessons, I feel because that's still before any of your regular decision college apps are due, and it's to get your name known to the professor. Now I'm going to transition into talking about why I think trial lessons are absolutely necessary when you're applying as a music student. This might sound a tiny bit controversial, but I am a firm believer that in music, connection is a really significant big part, whether it's in college apps, whether it's in summer camps, whether it be in the professional world, orchestral life, and soloist life, and landing an orchestral job. It's not necessarily oh, that person is my teacher student, I'm gonna pick them no matter what. It's not about that. It's about getting a personal connection with the professors, with whoever that you're aiming for, and getting that emotional tie going, getting conversation going, having a human to human connection. Of course, a musical bond, of course, but above that, a human to human connection. And I think that's super important also in college app auditions, because there's literally hundreds of applicants and you want to stand out in every way possible. I think at some point, just like academics, people have similar extracurricular activities, similar like competition places, similar youth orchestra levels, similar summer camp experiences, chamber music experiences, similar playing levels in terms of their audition. If that happens, then what do they judge based upon? I think in this case, like, trial lessons are super, super important. So basically, to me, getting to music school, one of the most important things after your actual audition and pre-screening itself is to get to know your professor, get to know the school, but especially the professor, get your name known inside that university, inside that conservatory, to your professor. And a really good way to do that is to take advantage of trial lessons. Personally, to the schools that I had trial lessons with, there wasn't like a thing on their website that connects students to professors to specifically have trial lessons, but I have heard that there are sections in college websites that allow you to take advantage of that. And if that's the case, especially if that's the case, 100% take advantage of that. In academic universities, there's something called demonstrated interest, and that's when colleges track how interested you are by, like, if you've taken advantage of college tour dates, if you've read their emails that they send out, if you attend their webinars, etc. But in the music world, this is literal. Like, it's quite different. It's literally demonstrated interest, and you can easily show this by taking trial lessons, reaching out to your first choice professor, and asking if they have time to spare so you can have a trial lesson with them. And this is such a good way to get your name known. If in any case you end up not performing the best at your audition, they have something else to refer to, and that's how you played during lesson and the improvement you had from that trial lesson to the audition. And I think that is super, super important because they need something more than just that one audition to really get to know your playing. And if you do a trial lesson, that's just one more opportunity to show them like who you are as a musician. And that's an opportunity not only you to get to know how they teach, but for them to understand who you are as a musician and what you need to improve on, and if they think they can contribute and add on more to that and help to grow you into your maximum potential. That's how I like to think of it. I think that trial lessons are a super big learning opportunity, and to be honest, I know I'm not going to be studying with all of the professors that I had trial lessons with, but I loved each and every one of them, and I learned something new from each and every trial lesson, and I am so thankful for that. Trial lessons were my favorite part of the audition process because it's not as high tension as auditions, but then I get to also connect with the professors that I want to learn from, and I also get to learn more about the school because usually you'll play for like 45-50-ish minutes and they'll have like 10-15 minutes to spare for you to ask any questions that you have, for them to like kind of explain what's special about their studio, the environment around that college. And I think that's a great way to also figure out if the school is right for you, not just the professor. And yeah, I probably have a lot more to say about trial lessons, but right now I'm not thinking of anything else, so let's get into the fun part, I guess. I have a value for whatever I put out on my platforms, whether it be Instagram or YouTube, that I will not gatekeep anything. So just in case you guys are kind of nervous of the format that you should have while emailing your professors, your potential professors that you want trial lessons with, I'm going to share with you guys what I sent out to my professors. I reached out to a total of 4 professors to have trial lessons with, and I had trial lessons with all 4. 100% success rate. And I'm sure the professors reply back to every single email that they get, hopefully. I'm just gonna share. Oh, and I have to mention that all of these are Zoom trial lessons because I couldn't make it over in person to any of the schools because they all had virtual auditions. I sent all of them in mid-January. I went, "Hello, Professor blank blank blank. I hope everything is going well. My name is Ellen Kim and I'm an aspiring violin performance major and I applied to blank 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 music school this year to study under you. This might be a little late, but I was wondering if you have any slots available for me to schedule a trial lesson so I can experience your teaching style. Thank you so much and I'm looking forward to talking to you soon. Thank you, Ellen Kim." And generally after that they would reply to me with their availability possibly, and then I would reply with, "Thank you so much for the response. I would be free on blank 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 on whatever choices or like time that they gave me." And I would also ask if there would be any costs, and if they had no response to that question, then I would assume that they did not charge for the lesson and I would proceed. 2 out of the 4 schools actually did charge me for lessons and the other 2 did not. It really depends on the professor. And then another important thing that I suggest you to do is to follow up after your audition. After whatever date you play, I suggest that you, after your audition, even if it's just a few hours after, even if it's like a day or 2 after, I suggest that you do follow up with your professor just to thank them and so forth, you know? And an example of this, I'm just gonna read you one of mine. "Professor blank blank blank. I took away so much from the lesson yesterday and got to understand a lot more about the piece. I'm so thankful I could have a lesson with you and I think you knew exactly what I was struggling with and why. I'll always keep those things in mind and thank you so much for listening to me today." So that was the day of the audition. Later on during the day, I followed up with an email, and I think that's a really good way to continue that demonstrated interest. It's always about the demonstrated interest, huh? But yeah, trial lessons are 100% all for the students, and it's definitely something that you should take advantage of if you can. I hope that helped a little bit, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!